Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for participating in the behind the scenes of the Sciences web session. We are so excited to spend the next hour with you discussing these programs. My name is Ashley Clark, and I'm an admissions advisor at SUNY Plattsburgh. I am thrilled to be joined by two of our currently enrolled students within the science department, as well as a professor from the sciences. I want to quickly congratulate those of you that are participating that have been accepted to SUNY Plattsburgh. I know we have a large group of people tuning in this evening, and some of you have received your acceptance, so congratulations. Before I have our speakers introduce themselves, I want to share some information to get started. This event will primarily be Q&A. While I have some questions prepared, I'm really hoping for your participation. You can ask a question live using the chat option. When the questions come in, I will ask the questions to our panel. The event will end latest at 8 o'clock, so please feel free to send in questions right away. I also want to mention briefly our information session that we will be hosting on campus for the sciences. That event will be on March 5th at 10 a.m., and I will be sure to discuss this event before the end of our web session tonight. So without further ado, let's introduce our panel. If Dr. Burgess could introduce himself, as well as the students giving their name, hometown, major, and year, I think that'd be a great way to start off.
I'm Michael Burgess, and my major is plant science. And that's the focus I have in my studies. And my role here in the department is plant guide. And from New Hampshire originally, traveled quite a bit. And I'm happy to have landed here in the North Country.
Thank you.
I'm Leanna. I'm a sophomore studying environmental science and geology, and I'm from Long Island.
And I'm Stefano. I'm a chemistry major, junior year, and I'm from Colchester, Vermont.
Thank you, guys. So again, for all of you participating, please feel free to send in your questions. But I am going to start off with some questions that I do have. And the first question is actually for you, Dr. Burgess. If you could talk about the class sizes at SUNY Plattsburgh, and if you feel that they have allowed you to build stronger connections with your students.
Yes, certainly. The last part of your question, that's certainly true. Class sizes vary. I think introductory classes in the sciences are going to be a little bit larger than the classes that you take once you specialize in your program. But otherwise, generally, they're not large. I think our largest class would be general biology, but beyond that class, the largest ones will probably be 30 or so students. And as you, again, specialize in your major and the discipline that you're interested in, the class size could be quite small. For me personally, the classes I teach, I typically have a max enrollment that's about 22, for example, for field biology, because we're restricted by the number of people who can fit in vans because we spend all day outside in the field, enjoying the natural heritage of this great area.
Thank you very much. So we do have our first question that just came in for the students, and that is, what was the hardest class that you have taken in college or expected to take in college? Leanna, if you want to start with that.
Probably environmental technologies, which is ENV 206, and it incorporated math and chemistry and a lot of things. But I went to the tutoring center and I got a lot of help for it, so I ended up doing great.
Awesome.
The hardest class that I've ever taken would have to be organic chemistry. It's a very rigorous program that requires a lot of memorization.
They both sound very challenging. I don't know if I'd be able to take those classes. So I hope that answered the question that came in just then. Just to follow up, Leanna, you talked about the Learning Center and the Tutoring Center. Could you maybe just give like a basic overview of what that is for the student?
So the Learning Center is in the Angel College Center, and it's for tutoring. So you can go there to be tutored for any course. You just sign up for it. You give them the course code, so ENV 206. Whatever it is, English 101, just go there and tell them the professor's name, and you can make an appointment, and it could be anywhere from 30 minutes to like 2 hours. You can go with either by yourself, a group of students, or if you don't want to make an individual appointment, you can just go into the walk-in and have a single question together in 5 minutes. And if you don't need to be tutored, then you can also tutor, which is a paying job on campus. It's a good opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you for explaining that. So Dr. Burgess, can you answer the next question talking about student involvement with on-campus facilities and how do you think you have been a part of these facilities that we have on campus and how they've enhanced students' experiences here?
So a couple of facilities I work with quite regularly are the greenhouse, and those students interested in sciences are benefiting from a brand new science building that was just put on campus. Chemistry and biology and environmental science students have brand new, beautiful kind of state-of-the-art equipment. One of the pieces to that is a brand new greenhouse, which is quite nice. And also another facility I work with is the herbarium, which is basically a living museum in a sense, and it captures all the different plants that grow in our area and provide best there. And so students have opportunities to work individually as research students in those facilities. They also, if they take any of my classes, will have exposure to those facilities. And then beyond that, the Hudson Hall Science Complex has state-of-the-art research labs that are utilized by all the faculty in the department, either for their own research, again, with students helping, or for their classes. And again, all students would have some exposure to that.
Perfect, thank you. So for the students, when you guys came to Plattsburgh, did you know exactly what major you would declare, or did you change your mind? And why did you select the major that you're currently in right now?
So I came in with the idea that I would go with chemistry because, frankly, I quite enjoyed it during high school. It really changed my mind much during the course.
Awesome.
I came in as a nursing major, and I changed my mind 4 times. So I was nursing, then I went to administration, then anthropology, and finally environmental science. But I've always been drawn to the sciences, so it just makes sense.
Okay, and why did you end up in environmental science? What made you select that?
I think it's because that I've always been around the world, not the world, just like the environment. I grew up on Long Island at the beach and right next to the woods, so I was just always outside enjoying.
Awesome. We actually have a question that came in for you, Leanna, asking about your favorite class that you've had so far in the environmental science program.
My favorite class? Well, all of them. I think each time I take a class, I kind of fall in love with it a little bit more. Like last year, I took a lot of math classes, and then this semester I'm in environmental planning, so that gives me a different aspect of it. But probably geology is my second major, and that's just it's more intense about the world.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. Burgess, how do you personally prepare your students for the experiential learning opportunities in and outside of the classroom and success after graduation?
Lots of exercise, push-ups, pull-ups. No, we just prepare by experiencing it. I think there's nothing that takes place like the actual experience. And preparing for it can be challenging, so it's better to jump in. The experiential learning that I offer, I think, is quite unique in that I really take advantage of the beauty that surrounds us. So we have Lake Champlain, which is an amazing resource in itself, but just on the other side of the lake, heading up the hills, and high peaks of around it. And it's a whole other wonderful place. And so I take my students from the lake to the high peaks. We explore the alpine zone, we explore the lake shore, and everything in between. For the learning that I offer for experiential learning. The other bit that I think is important is a big focus of mine, and I think a big focus of the Department of Science and professional preparation. And so it's one thing to go to a school and take the classes that you need to fulfill your degree, but it's another thing to have experiences that prepare you to be successful as a professional. And I think our department does a great job of accomplishing that. In our own way, we each strive to make sure that each student that we work with is definitely going to have a leg up in the company.
Perfect. So for the students, how accessible are the faculty members, and maybe one of your favorite faculty members that really stand out, if you could talk about that?
I think they're pretty accessible. They have office hours usually right before or after classes, and then if not, you can always email them. I think, honestly, my favorite professor, and I haven't even had him yet, but I'm part of Botany Cousin, the advisor for it, so I feel like you're very knowledgeable and know your stuff, so and I feel like you can help.
That's awesome.
In the chemistry department, professors are quite accessible. And like she said, off hours during the week that you can go and ask them questions. And in the Latin courses that you'll take, it's usually lower class sizes, so usually during and after class you can easily approach them and ask questions.
Great. It's good to hear that the faculty are so accessible, and I know when I was a student here, I also had the same experience too, so thank you for sharing that. So Dr. Burgess, if you could talk about the relationships you've been able to develop with your students that you teach, and maybe if you have any success stories that stand out, or just any story in general that you like to always talk about in terms of your relationship with students.
Well, there's quite a few, and in a sense, they're all success stories. I don't necessarily measure success just in one way, so each relationship I have with each student, just the fact of having a relationship, I think, success, and it's a real joy for me, and it's certainly one of the major reasons I pursued this career, to work with young people. But in particular, there's some students that I get to know on a very personal basis because I work with them day to day, and they work for me, either as a greenhouse assistant or a capacity as research students. And a few of them have done great, and I like to think I was a part of it, but they work hard, and I think that's, in the end, what makes the big difference. One in particular is Katie Gimmel. She's a student who I got to know as we were kind of both transitioning. I came here just a few years ago, and she was on her way coming out. She was in the upper class division. So I didn't get to know her for that long, but we got to know each other in a way. I helped her with forming ideas for her career and helping her with her resume and just getting ready for the interview process. And she was very successful right out of school getting a job in the field that she's pursuing. And I just got an email from her today, actually, saying that she's got another job and things are really rolling. And then another student just recently, Jessica Van Splinter, who I work with, again, on a research basis, just discovered a plant in New York that I'd never discovered before. So she got what we call a state record, which people like me, who are in the dyed-in-the-wool plant lover, would dream of getting after a 30-year career. And she got it right away. And we just published a paper together describing it.
That's awesome.
That was a big win for her. She also just got a position with the Department of Research.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So the next question that came in can actually probably be answered by both you as a faculty member, but also maybe the students. Are many professors proactive in clubs that relate to their subject? I know, Leanna, you just had talked about the club that you're a part of. Maybe if both of you could speak to that. And I don't know if, Stefano, you're a part of a chemistry club or anything, or faculty members that might run that, but please feel free to share.
Well, I'm part of botany club, so that's plants, and it's run by Burgess. He's the faculty advisor, so it is run by students, but we oversee it, if not mistaken.
Right.
I'm actually the treasurer now, today.
As of today?
As of today, yeah. So that's one thing. I'm also part of the Wildlife Club and Cloudy Slack and Valley.
That's awesome.
The one great thing about the clubs, and students who are actively involved learn this quickly, is that there's a world of opportunity there for all kinds of great things. It can be personal, it can also be professional. And again, I direct all my interests to helping students be successful after college, not being successful here. And so the botany clubs, I hope is a great example of that. And anyone who's interested can check it out at Facebook at SUNY Plattsburgh Botany. How you would search for it. And we regularly take trips to Montreal to the botanical garden, and then spend time in the city as well. It's a good time, and I do everything I can to be as involved as possible to help fulfill its mission. And partly because I enjoy Montreal as much as they do, I think. But also, I do generally want them to be successful.
And part of the club, so we go on all these trips and learn about plants. When we're here, we're learning about skills for our resumes and interviewing and all that good stuff to use after college, and right now searching for internships and jobs.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. We have a few other questions that just came in. The first one I'll go with was, how large were the introduction classes? I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, Dr. Burgess, but for the students here, did you feel that they were too big or overwhelming when you started taking classes? Stefano, if you want to start.
With the chemistry introductory class that I took was a bit of an exception. It was around 200, I believe.
Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest I've ever taken.
Yeah. And did you feel overwhelmed, or did you feel like that was probably the exception? You haven't had a lot of classes like that?
I actually haven't had many classes like that at all. That was the one exception.
Awesome. What about you, Leona?
The largest class I've ever been was Bio 101, which was 60 students. But I didn't feel that overwhelmed because I sat right up in front. I listened to the professor. If I had a question, raised my hand, he answered it. And then it was split up into lab groups, so then I got to, get to know my professor and like what he wanted specifically and how everything would be run in the class. So even though I was in a larger class setting, when it got broken down into labs, I was able to learn and still do everything, even if it was.
Yeah, I think that's key for a lot of the bigger science classes. The lecture classes might be larger at first because everyone has to take them, but then they put them into smaller sizes for the lab where you can really get hands-on in the program. So thank you guys.
So instead of 60, it's like 20, which is much more manageable.
Yeah, absolutely. The other question that just came in, are there opportunities for freshmen or sophomores to do research with professors? And whether you've had the opportunity to research or just know of people, if you guys could talk about that. And then maybe you also could express, the opportunities that you do offer to students. So.
The chemistry department does offer research opportunities, usually for upper levels, I believe. But there's definitely options available.
I know the Green Grant. If you write a research paper about your idea for campus, you can get grant money, and then it can be instituted on campus. So that's like kind of a research way for lower classmen and then upper classmen.
Awesome.
Any student who's genuinely interested in doing research, no matter the year, certainly welcome. And I think that's true for most faculty that I know of. The difference that was mentioned about chemistry, I think, is that some research requires a little introductory understanding, and it might take a little time to ramp up. But genuinely, if the students who's very interested, regardless of the year, there's definitely.
Awesome. Leanna and Stefano, can you guys share some of the hands-on opportunities that you've had in your program, whether it be within like just the lab spaces or classrooms, or within your program, maybe there's something out in the field that you have been able to get involved in, if you could share that?
Yeah, in my Bio 101 class, we went outside and went right to the Hawkins Pond, which is literally right outside of the classroom, and we identified plant species, and we set up boxes to see how many plants there were in one area. That's a good example. And also, for geology, we go on trips and identify structures. So we went to Point Our Rush State Park, which is like a 20-minute ride, and to the Oxbow Cliff, which is near campus, and really saw them. And it was good because what you're learning in class, you're applying and seeing like you've learned.
Awesome.
And in the chemistry labs, you'll be using all sorts of different machinery that's used in the field of science today, like NMR machines and fire spectrum, that sort of thing.
Awesome.
Also, there's the Minor Institute, which is for your senior year. You get to go there and hands-on activities for like a class that you want. Not really sure the classes, I haven't got up to that road yet, but I know that it's available and it's a really good opportunity that I will take advantage of.
Perfect. So a question did just come in. We talked about labs just briefly, and a student had asked about lab activities. Are they mostly done in groups, or do you find that you're doing a lot of on your own solo work within the labs?
Well, I've been in a couple different labs, and it kind of depends on your professor. The lab that I'm in right now, I kind of work by myself, but if I have questions, I can ask the people sitting around me. That's for Geology 102. Geology 101, I worked with a lab group. Bio 101, I worked with a lab group. So most of the time, you're working with people, and if you ever feel like you have a question, I would ask the professor.
In the chemistry labs, you're usually grouped up with other individuals, mostly just one other person, but sometimes up to 5, 6 others.
Awesome. Okay. Dr. Burgess, if you could maybe talk about where you've seen some of your students go on to. I know you mentioned a few that have already had jobs. Do you find that there's certain places that a lot of students will place into, or do you think a lot of students are going into graduate school mostly?
It's a mix. I think in the biology department where a lot of students are interested in biomedical science. So their end goal is to get into a career path that's something, either a doctor or dentist, veterinarian. So ultimately that's more school, and it's a fairly rigorous course of study. And then there's other students who pursue research-based grad school, not necessarily professional degree. So they will hold on to that track. And then there's other students who are looking to do school and just get a job right away. And I've been successful in that regard. So I work with students who've done all of it. And students, again, who work hard and really meticulous in their pursuit are successful. I haven't seen a student not be.
Awesome. For the students, another question that just came in, do you find that Plattsburgh and your advisors have really helped find opportunities for research and internships? Do you find that your advisor is very helpful in facilitating that?
I think so. My advisor is Dr. Ed Rich. He is definitely helping me find internships for the summer and applying with a lot of state facilities like Department of Environmental Conservation and EPA and SCA. Sorry. I think that he's been helping me in that, and also with planning my classes and helping me get ahead in that way too.
Awesome. What about you, Stefano?
My advisor, Dr. Eva Potter, has likewise brought to me possible research possibilities, and yeah.
So you find that they're pretty accessible then for you guys. Awesome. So kind of transitioning, someone had just asked about study abroad. So for that person that asked that, we are going to talk a little bit more about student life and things of that. But I do have just a few other questions pertaining to the academics and just the student body in general moving forward. Can you, as students, express just your views of the student body and what you find really exciting here on our campus?
I definitely think that the whole student body is very diverse. You're fitting in just by being here. There's not you don't have to do something to fit in. You're just fitting in. I think on campus there's a lot of great opportunities. We did at the downer, they have fun game night stuff, and then outside of campus there's downtown and the cute little cafes, and then there's Chipotle too, and then Adirondack, of course. That's why I came here basically besides school.
Awesome.
There's a lot of opportunities for you to find what really suits you best. Lots of clubs and activities that you can partake in.
Awesome. And if you could maybe describe the student body, and you seem like you get pretty involved with the academics and maybe some of the student life piece too, but if you could maybe describe the student body of what you think stands out.
My first impression upon visiting, there were two big impressions. One was all the art that I see on campus, the sculptures, which is pretty neat. And then the other is just what Leanna said, which is how diverse the student body. And I mean that ethnically diverse. And it's really fabulous. There's people from all over the world, literally all over the world come here. And I hear all kinds of languages every day walking up and down the sidewalk. And the diversity of perspective, and the diversity of understanding and caring, and the diversity of being human is really fabulous. And that to me is one of the greatest parts of our class, which is probably something that was surprising me thinking all the way on. But it turned out to be a fabulous experience. So that's my big.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. This question just came in specifically for Dr. Burgess. It's a general question. It says, what is the best part about majoring in science at Plattsburgh? What is one thing that you would change?
Well, the best part is state-of-the-art facilities, professors who care, and a clear track to success, and people ready to support you. Things that I would change is just get more of that. It'd be nice to have more people in the sciences and the class is a little bit smaller and help us even more. Otherwise, I think we're doing pretty well. It's a great time to be a class.
Awesome. And I like that question a lot, so maybe you guys could share what do you think is the best part about majoring within the sciences, and if there's something that you would want to change.
I definitely like the brand new facility in Hudson. All of the facilities are amazing. There's labs in the basement and everything. And my professors, I feel like they know their stuff. That my one professor for geology, Dr. Mary Rosenstein, she was researching at MIT and did specialization in track dating, and that's just one. There's another one. He was an engineer and has worked on numerous projects.
That's awesome.
Likewise, I feel that the labs are quite state of the art. One thing that I could see being a possible upgrade would be having more professors be able to teach a greater variety of classes, especially as electives.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, guys. One of the questions that came in talked about study abroad, and whether you've done it or not, or maybe have known people, do you feel within the sciences that it's a flexible major that you could, if you wanted to, participate in the study abroad opportunities that SUNY Plattsburgh offers?
Yeah, I was supposed to study abroad this winter break. I broke my ankle though, so I wasn't able to go, but maybe another time. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I think that there's many things. You can also take general education classes, satisfy those, so like humanities, arts, just general classes. But there's plenty of research opportunities. I know that some people are going to Antarctica, and being part of the SUNY system, you can use any SUNY schools study abroad. So there's over 500 of them.
That's awesome.
Currently, this semester, a friend of mine actually is in France right now doing the study abroad project.
That's cool. That's awesome. And do you know of any students that have been going abroad, maybe specifically related to the sciences or just in general places they could go to?
I do know one student, and she just went to Bhutan. If you know where that is, you can look it up. It's not a place that comes to my mind. But it was a fabulous experience. I think she would say this when she was here. And I did a study abroad when I was a student, and I tell every student I work with, almost anyone who I can talk to, including you all, that you should do a study abroad. Absolutely. Change your life for the better.
Yeah, and as Leanna had said that we work collaboratively with all of the SUNY institutions, so you can pick and choose from over 500 places to study abroad. If we don't have it here and another SUNY school has it, we definitely make a way for it to work. And many programs, the majority of our majors, I would say, are pretty flexible. Some more competitive programs, even like nursing and education, still are able to accommodate study abroad experiences. So it's definitely something that you'll want to start thinking about, usually your sophomore year, and we actually have a great office focusing on study abroad that you can visit and get more information about. So for the students, if you guys could maybe talk about some lessons or skills that you have developed as a student here at Plattsburgh that you think are really going to assist you as you move forward and beyond graduation.
Well, a basic skill that I did not know before coming here was Excel. Excel is actually very important. I learned how to use that. That's good for like graphing, taking notes, and everything. And just other computer skills, building on my resume.
What I've learned most is proper study habits and time management.
Yes, that is key. We hear that a lot from our students. Awesome. Okay. Dr. Burgess, if you could maybe talk about your favorite part about being on campus and teaching at SUNY Plattsburgh.
Being able to go outside and explore, as I mentioned before, from the Alpine Zone to the high peaks all the way around. I do everything I can to drag my class outside. Go through the woods, see what we find. Natural world is the highlight of my life, so I like to share that. And then on the way, have some fun and enjoy ourselves a bit as well. So it's not all just hard work. I like to play off.
That's awesome. For the students, if you guys could share some of the ways you're involved on or off campus, kind of, we know you're really involved as students, but maybe on-campus activities, whether it be clubs or maybe just off-campus, whether you work, just things that you find yourself getting involved in outside of the academic world.
As I mentioned before, I'm the treasurer of the Botany Club, I'm part of Patty Flex, Patty Club, Wildlife Club. So it's just like every club that goes outside, that's the club I'm part of. I also work on campus. I give tours, do this sometimes.
Yeah.
And just whenever I can get outside and like around do that, I also go to Burlington.
Awesome. What about you, Stefan? I know you're from Vermont, so she just kind of gave that away, but what do you do usually outside of academics?
Last year in particular, I took part in the heavy metal club that was formed here on campus, but
that's cool.
Recently haven't had much time.
Yeah, I've heard chemistry is a pretty rigorous program to be a part of. Okay, actually a question just came in as we're talking about student life. The question is a longer one, but it says the College Board website says that only 45% of undergrads live on campus. Do you feel that there is a lack of student community on campus?
No, I don't think so. I think that there's plenty of community. I live in the Frindenberg, which is a student-style building. So I live with 6 other girls. Yeah, 6 other girls. I had to count real fast. And I'm friends with all them, and I'm friends with people on the floor. And when you walk in the building, there's the RA on duty right there. You say hi to them. They have a whole bunch of activities for, one example is Super Bowl. They had food night for that, so that was good. And you got to meet everybody in the building. And then when you go to Clinton, which is the dining hall, you see everybody, say hi. And then just as a library, it's important online. Everybody's here, friendly, and communicating.
Awesome.
Yeah, the school itself hosts many other activities outside of the residence halls as well, like movie nights they have, for example, that sort of thing.
Yeah, awesome. Another question that just came in, maybe you can answer this, Dr. Burgess, but are all of the labs taught by professors or are some of them taught by TAs?
They're taught by professors, but TAs do help. Just kind of have to think through it a little bit. The sequence I'm involved with in biology, introductory biology, is Bio 102, and Jerry Mellon. And I teach the labs, and my colleague, Dr. Hope, also teaches the labs. We actually don't have any TAs. Bio 101 has some TAs, and as we get into other lab-based courses like genetics or cell biology, there are TAs, but absolutely, primary focus of the lab. That's what the instructor of the course.
Awesome. This is kind of like a follow-up, but what are some labs that are done in anatomy and physiology?
I know them well because one, my office is across the hall, and the lab that I teach in is next door. So I can tell you just about all the parts of the catheter. And Sis, who's the Cecilia Gregoire, Dr. Gregoire, who teaches A&P along with Kyle, the two fabulous people. And they're getting totally excited about that. Cats. Otherwise, she looks pretty well.
Man, I don't know if I could take a class in dissecting cats, but that's just me. I know some of you guys are interested in that. Oh, I don't know. Thank you for that question, though, guys, whoever brought that one in for us. So I know we just kind of got a little bit away from student life, but can you maybe talk about, for the students, your transition from going from high school to that college setting? Obviously, it's a big change in terms of workload and obviously living on campus, so maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's definitely a big change, because you get here and it's just a big campus. But the RAs, the residence halls, they help a lot in that transition. They make sure that you have everything that you need to feel welcome.
Yeah, I lived in freshman housing my first year, so that was Wilson Hall. So I had a community advocate and a resident assistant, and they helped me ease the process. They had events on our floor, so we were able to meet other people, and it basically became family. I see them all around still this year, and always say hi at least. and some are group listed than others. And the resident assistant always was there for us, like to help us with scheduling classes and just management.
Awesome. Another question that came in, they were asking about small gyms. So we have the main gym facility on our campus, but they were asking if there's another gym inside of the residence hall, and if there's a swimming pool on campus.
Yeah, so there's a smaller gym in Hood Hall, which is a suite style building, and that has like treadmills, bikes, elliptical, the weight thing, I don't know what it's called, but that thing, like free weights and stuff. And then in the bigger gym in Memorial Hall, there's all of those plus more, and Olympic pools, which is awesome.
That's awesome. There's a question that came in, which freshman dorm is the best? I don't know if you guys could answer that. I know one of them actually is under renovation. We are renovating all of our dorms one at a time. So one this year will be switched to a different dorm for this upcoming year. But just which one do you guys think would be the best?
Well, I live in Wilson, so obviously Wilson, but Wilson and Whiteface are the only two, so Wilson.
Awesome.
I'd have to say Whiteface. It's,
The fight begins.
Chemistry, environmental science, Whiteface, Wilson.
It's definitely a more centralized location, more accessible to your classes.
Okay.
It's true, but Wilson forever.
That's funny. Just staying on the topic of student life, and this will be the last question I probably ask for that. And Dr. Burgess, you probably eat on campus, so maybe if the three of you could maybe talk about food on campus. I know when we do presentations, that seems to be a popular question. Obviously, you guys are eating, so if you could talk about your favorite spot to eat, what you like the best, things like that.
I think there's a little something for everybody. The school seems to be constantly pursuing new vendors. Just recently, Hawkins Hall brought in a vendor that's been successful. And then there's Subway and food along those lines. And then there's the student union where food court has just everything you can imagine, from stir fries to delis to salads. I've kind of eaten my way through most of it. It's all fine. Nothing less than you expect. Yeah,
I'm a vegetarian, so obviously that adds like a different aspect to it, but it definitely is easy to eat, and when in doubt, there's a huge salad bar. But they offer tofu and everything. I'm a big fan of Einstein's and coffee in the morning. There's Tim Hortons, Griddles, which is breakfast food, to all you can eat, like Sunday salad. So there's always something to eat, and the counter's open.
Nice.
It's pretty much everything for anyone.
Yeah. We have Tim Hortons, so I'm a pretty big fan of that. I'm happy that we have that on our campus. But so we are getting close towards the end of our event. One of the questions that the student just brought in, do all freshmen live in the same dorm? And I know that you kind of talked about having two. You can maybe just explain the difference between the dorms that we have, and if not, I can help too.
So Wilson is one freshman housing and Whiteface is another. That's all freshmen. They're 9 floors and 2 people per room. On occasion 3, but most triples get broken down. And there's, I think, around 20 people on a floor. So, or not 20, I'm sorry, 20 rooms, about 40 people on the floor. And I would suggest living in freshman housing your first year because you're never going to be able to live in freshman housing ever again. People are actively seeking friends out and want to talk to you and are going through exactly what you're going through. So I would suggest it. I had a random roommate, and she's actually a really good friend, so it works out.
Awesome.
But I don't know. You can live in other housing. You don't have to live as a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah, you do have a choice on your housing application. You can indicate a few of the places you would like to stay. It is first come, first serve, so if you know that you want to come to Plattsburgh, usually we encourage you to put down your deposit so that you can move forward with the housing application. But if any of you want to look at the different residence halls that we have a full 360 view on our campus website where you can actually check out all of the different dorms that we have available to you guys. The last question that I do have for students, The last question that I have to ask for students is your involvement and any advice that you would want to give students before they transition into the high school, the college realm, just a piece of advice that you would always encourage students.
Oh.
You can start too, yeah.
Okay, great. Just always work hard, no matter what you do or where you go. There's nothing that's ever going to take the place of working hard to be consistent. It's just a fact. It's been proven over and over. So that's my.
It's a good one.
Talk to everyone because everyone has something interesting about them, and get involved because you can go fun places and do fun things with new people.
I'd say pretty much just get involved, work hard, and have fun.
Well, thank you guys so much, and we do have a ton of other questions that came in. The last one was, where do transfer students usually live? And as a transfer advisor, I'll just answer that for you. As Leanna had mentioned, we do have 12 different residence halls, and we have 2 specifically for upperclassmen. So they can live in those 2 specifically, or they're able to live in the other dorms that are available, obviously with the exception of the incoming freshman building. So transfer students are absolutely able to live in any of the other buildings that we do have on campus. But, so that's going to conclude our science web session. Thank you guys so much for participating in this event, and we hope that you will consider visiting our campus for the Sciences Information session on the 5th of March. The session on campus will include an admissions presentation with a live panel similar to what you're seeing today, an academic breakout session with faculty from your major, and a full campus tour. Registration for this event can be found at the following link. I do have it on the slide up for you guys to see. On-campus events can be found at www.plattsburgh.edu/admissions/group sessions. If you're interested in seeing some other web sessions that we have available, we do have a housing session coming up pretty soon, and that can be found at www.plattsburgh.edu/admissions/online-sessions. So definitely check that out. And maybe for the 2 of you here, I don't know if you guys visited campus more than once, or maybe even just once, but would you recommend students getting on campus and seeing what we offer?
Definitely come here and like look at it first. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, definitely, because you want to see what this is all about. The campus is really nice and it's in a great location.
Yeah, it certainly helps to actually see what you're going for here.
Yeah.
A lot of good facilities.
Awesome. Yeah, and March 5th will be a great opportunity for students to visit if they are planning to come in for the science programs. Please also note, again, on our website, we do have sessions for housing and financial aid, so that's a really great place to check out more information, to hear from professionals on our campus talking about those next steps that you probably all have questions about. But thank you guys so much for being part of our session tonight. We hope to see you soon on campus. Have a great night, and please complete the brief survey when you log out. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Have a great night. Congrats on your acceptance, and best of luck to you all.